Good day to all our loyal viewers and readers of DNA. Welcome to another episode of interviews with heads of missions. We are here at the Theatre Royal Suite in Raffles Hotel, Singapore. And today we have with us the Ambassador of Thailand, the land of 1,000 smiles, boasting both ancient traditions as well as modern developments. Thailand is a favorite destination for many, especially us Singaporeans. And we haven't even mentioned its stunning beaches and its delectable cuisine. It is with great pleasure that we welcome His Excellency Chutintorn Gongsakdi, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Thailand.
สวัสดีครับ
Sawadee krap, สบายดีไหม?
สบายดีครับ
Excellency, you had a long and busy stay in Singapore. How has it been thus far from both a personal and professional point of view?
Well, it's my second time in Singapore. I was in Singapore for 4 years, just around 4 years in early 2000. At that time, I was at something called the APEC Secretariat, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. It coincided with Thailand's hosting of APEC in 2003. We recently hosted APEC again in 2022. So this is my second time. Up to that point, I've been posted to Geneva, then Singapore. Then I thought, since Singapore is the Switzerland of Asia, what other Switzerlands around the world were there? And who was to know that I would be posted back here again? So it's very nice.
And Singapore is known to be one of the strongest economies in the region and a vital international business hub. Kindly highlight the main accomplishments in foreign investment and trade between Singapore and Thailand.
Well, coincidentally, this morning I went to a seminar on ASEAN, and one of the thoughts that came to me after listening to some of the speeches was that Singapore is the number one, economy of ASEAN. It's the number one country in terms of modern governance and so on. Singapore plans 50 years ahead and so on and so forth. So in that sense, Singapore is important to ASEAN, not only in terms of the size of the economy, but it's like an example for everyone to aspire to. Then I told my Singapore friends there that, but Singapore must also not forget that ASEAN is made up of different sizes of countries with different levels of development. And we are now considering having East Timor, Timor-Leste. So I think the key is for each of us to understand each other and for Singapore to continue to lead the way, but for ASEAN as a whole, to think of the stronger, but also to think of those who are less strong in some areas, but they may be strong in other areas. So it comes back to what I consider a lesson learned from COVID, but also a quality of diplomats is to have empathy. So you must not only drive your agenda, but you have to understand what's in it for the others in the room. So Singapore, as I said before, is a shining light, an example, something to aspire to. And as I said to Madame Halima Yacob, Madame President, that Singapore is a fountain of knowledge. Okay, so for Thailand and Singapore, the volume of trade and so on, I mean, you're number 3 investor in Thailand and number 9 in terms of trade, with us. But behind that, Singapore is a trading post. So things come here and then they're transship and so on and so forth. So I think it's more important about the role Singapore plays in this region. And that is more important than the numbers alone.
I think one of the things that we learned during the pandemic that I think the world needs a little bit more empathy. Yes. Right? I think it's great that you mentioned that. I find it very heartwarming that that's become a part of the agenda.
We must never lose our humanity. If you do that, then you're no better than a computer.
Very well put, sir. Ambassador Gongsakdi, Your country, previously known as the Kingdom of Siam, has preserved its political tradition of keeping its king as its head of state and was the only Asian country that remained uncolonized. Please share with us some other relevant historic facts about the Thai nation.
So first of all, never colonized by a Western power. So we have lost wars to our neighbor like Myanmar and so on. So that's fact. The other thing is I see change around the world, and even in Thailand we talk about the royal family, the role of the royal family, and so on and so forth. And people see newer models that they want to emulate. And what I want to say is that you have your heritage, and there are countries that are more modern and newer, and they don't have heritage, or they do, but they want to go back and adopt local culture, as their heritage. That's why, for example, like in Canada, you have Inuit, in New Zealand, Maori, in Australia, the Aboriginals, in America, the Indians, and so on. So our history is our heritage. And so we've had absolute monarchy, and now the royal family remains part of our heritage, and they have to find a role, in a modern Thailand. So they are more or less ceremonial, and they do a lot of development work. In terms of in the past, like never been colonized by a Western power. That time it was under absolute monarchy, and that's when the King Rama the Fourth, now we're under King Rama the 10th, he started trying to learn, about the West. In fact, the movie The King and I, which was banned in Thailand, is a real story. And the American teacher, Anna Leonowens, was found, was sourced through our, he later became our honorary consul general, Tan Kim Ching. And he was the one who helped source Anna Leonowens. And other than that, books, maps, and things, for the king to learn about the outside world, that was Tan Kim Ching. King Rama V, the son, first traveled overseas through Singapore. So his first trip overseas was to Singapore, 1871. And he came to see how the British, were running Singapore, what being modern was like, communications, administration, and we followed some of those examples. And that leads into the embassy, the plot of land that we are located at the present moment. He had rented, accommodation, and then when the opportunity came up, he bought the property. So that was back from King Rama V. And we're very lucky. Now it's become quite popular on Thai social media, TikTok and so on. They keep saying that we own the most valuable plot of land on Orchard Road. And yeah.
Yeah. I've been to the embassy quite a few times to enjoy the Thai festivals that go on there. I can't go on and on enough about how much we love Thailand, me and my wife. Your Excellency, Thailand is one of the favorite traveling destinations in the region as well as in the world. Could you please explain your country's special tourism offerings and what can Singaporeans look forward to if they haven't been there?
Yes. Usually when people talk about tourism, they talk about the sites, right? And in Thailand, we're not a big country, but we have north, south, northeast, and central part, at least 4 cultures that are different. And some of our culture also comes from India, like Buddhism, or, I used to be ambassador to India. And when Thais go to India, they say, oh, this is just like in Thailand. This is just like in Thailand. In fact, it's from India. So there's a road called Asok Road, but that Asok or Ashoka used to be the king of in India. And I remember I posted a letter, on Twitter, and Indians they will look at every detail, why are you using that number of years? Why are you measuring it that way? So this year for us is 2,566. And then we say it's Buddhist era, the number of years since Buddha has passed away, or the address of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The road is Sri Ayutthaya, which is for in Sri Ayodhya, which is from them. And then, of course, typically Indian, they'll start hurling abuse at themselves, saying, you see, foreigners, love our culture more than we do, and so on and so forth. So it's like that. But my experience in Singapore, which I didn't realize before, and I characterize it as hiding in plain sight, is that the armed forces, of Singapore train in Thailand. So armed force, Army, Navy, Air Force, and they are there. Equipment is there, and each day it's expanding. I didn't know. I should know. Because I'm the Thai ambassador to Singapore, but I didn't know. When I came here, then I realized, based on the visits, and I get to sit in on the conversations. I've met the Minister of Defense 12 times. That's almost once every other month, Yes, I like him very much. He's a very wise man. And now I know that is something that we have in our pocket. I don't know if you can go as far as the love of Singaporeans for Thailand, but they like Thailand, and that is something that is an asset. Because if you want to know what the other side is like, think of any pair of countries where the people hate each other. It's it's hell. It's living hell. And so we have this, and Thailand is far from perfect. We can't match Singapore standards and so on and so forth. But I think it's a good antidote for a near perfect life in Singapore. If you're stressed by how much money you earn, or you can't decide where you want to eat, or everything is going too perfectly for you, you go to Thailand. And that's how I sell it. And HDB is the lowest cost one is $1 million. For that amount of money, you can buy a luxurious HDB in Thailand. And so, we're just there. And it's people's choice. They can go anywhere they want. We're lucky that Singaporeans like Thailand.
Well, we really do. I think you can go out onto the street and pick any Singaporean and ask them what they think of Thailand.
It's not taken as given, I mean, how countries are and how everything falls together, fits together. We're lucky.
It's a rare luxury.
We're lucky. I like to say that you have a family, you have many children, and one of them is, the worst at school, the worst at sports, the worst at this, that, or the other. But somehow all the other siblings like that sibling, and that's how lucky we are.
Those are very wise words. I'm really enjoying talking to you, sir. Ambassador, now Diplomatic Network Asia launched its digital media platform in 2023, organized a slew of networking events, and is now publishing its first annual print edition. How do you think both the media and networking tools can contribute to the work carried out by your mission? And do you have any suggestions for us moving forward?
Okay, first of all, the diplomats are human beings like everyone else. So if they had a trade magazine or a trade platform, they will go on there to see what their counterparts are doing. That's the first, but I think we can be more ambitious than that. In fact, they have a lot to share, and everyone has a different background. Not all are from foreign affairs. And sometimes you have political appointees, like the US ambassador, he used to work for Sega. I used to spend hours and hours, playing his games and so on and so forth. And others may have other areas of work. So you can get to know each other better. You can, let's say, do a feature on a person and then know their story. That could inspire somebody. But then the other one is they have different fields of interest, but usually for diplomats, it'll be politics, economics, social. Yeah. And so you can cover some of these issues. You can do them individually if somebody is particularly strong in a certain area, or you can do them as you can do a feature on an exchange. I don't think you will solve the Ukraine problem or the Myanmar problem in one of your issues, but you can try if you're game. But and then it becomes more of a trade magazine, but make sure that it has appeal outside as well. I find that in Singapore, diplomats are a little bit like celebrities. They are valued for their celebrity value. But let's say like in India, they're valued as international politicians. So we are often put on panels, and we talk about issues that here is more reserved for academics. See, so not a lot of people ask diplomats for their views because they either think that it's not diplomatic to ask them, or they think that they will give you a standard answer, like some safe answer. So I think that can be explored because everyone has a passion. For example, Ambassador of Peru, I understand he's being selected to be the presiding, the chairman of APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, senior officials. So he will preside over the senior officials meeting for APEC 2023. And that's a lot of money that a country is spending. So you would normally like to know, okay, what are Peru's ambitions? Where are we going? Where is APEC heading? And that kind of thing. But there could be other projects.
I love the way that you're speaking to us in such a frank manner.
I forgot something. The last aspect is how can you harness, the capacity of that community to do charity work. See, they do try, but it's harder when it's one person or one embassy. But when you come together and you pair it with local charity or something, you can do something. The very common one is Red Cross Fair, but Red Cross Fair, it costs a lot of money, even though you don't have to pay for the space. But I think we have to find a way to do more for less by coming together in larger groups.
Well, I hope moving forward that the different embassies and diplomats find a way to work together with the help of the local authorities, of course.
Authorities and volunteers.
And volunteers.
Volunteers are very strong.
Well, I think like the previous conversations we had with the different ambassadors, like the one from Turkey, I think Singapore does have volunteers and the willingness to give and to be compassionate, but it needs to be harnessed in a way where we can be more effective.
Yes, if we come together, then the weight on each one of our shoulders is less, but the outcome may be more. But it just needs somebody to bring it together. We have a dean, but I think he works already 25 hours a day.
But it sounds to me, sir, that you will be at the forefront of any such movement because you have the heart for it.
Certainly be supportive. I may not be at the forefront of everything, especially if it involves heavy physical exercise.
Well, on that note, we move on to the last question, and on a lighter note as well. Myself, I love Thai cuisine, and for those who have not tried the food in Thailand, And for those Thais who've not tried the food here, what would be your opinion of that, and what can you share regarding these two different things?
Okay, so one thing you have to be, but I think Singaporeans are very knowledgeable, especially because those in the military, they don't train in Bangkok. Okay, so there are four regions, and the food in the different regions is different. Down south it's different, central it's different, northeast and north. So just be aware of that. So you have at least four things you can try. Here, most people come from Thailand. They have bak kut teh, they have chili crab, black pepper crab, and chicken rice. Some of them even come to try a Thai chicken rice restaurant that has opened here. A minister no less. So I said, sir, why would you want to come here to try Thai chicken rice? He says he wants to know whether it's good or not. So I think Singapore is very successful in terms of cuisine because people do come and they book ahead, months and months ahead to try the food that they want. So we are alike in that sense.
Do you have a local favorite dish that you would recommend to all your Thai counterparts?
I just told my wife yesterday that I haven't been to the same place yet, but I love yong tofu with laksa soup. I think it's the best of both worlds. Yes.
And it's got the right spice.
Yes.
That Thais love.
Yes.
It's been a real pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ